Yeah, we should. We should. Pushpak has just started the live streaming, so I'll just wait for him to finish the setup and then I'll start.
We are live, we can start.
Okay. Um, can you spotlight me? Okay, cool. So, Jai Gurudev, welcome everyone. It's really, really nice to see so many of my friends here once again. And there are new faces as well. So, for the benefit of all, I would start by introducing myself. I'm Shilpa Shah, and I'm a writer, a journalist, a communication specialist, as well as a marketing expert. But amongst all the roles that I play, my favorite is being an art of living teacher, blessed by Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankarji. And today I feel it is a moment of great privilege and honor for me as I'm in conversation with Swami Virupakshaji. So let's all welcome him. Jai
Jai
Gurudev
Guru.
Swamiji.
Jai
And
Guru.
I would love to introduce a personality like Swamiji, very, very rare. And you will know why. So I'll just share. So Swamiji is a stress management expert, and that's been my personal experience with him. That when I met him during Mahashivratri recently, I was a little stressed because of some issue, and when I was in Swamiji's presence, I don't know where the stress evaporated, and I'm sure all of you will have the same experience tonight. We are the lucky ones, I can say. Swamiji has dedicated his life to support and promote the vision and mission of the world-renowned spiritual leader, Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankarji. Some of the non-UL people have also joined in tonight, so I'm explaining in detail. Swamiji has served in Europe and India, and most importantly, he's also spent almost a decade of his life in Sri Lanka, especially during the war and even after the war, when when the country was completely ravaged by the war. So tonight we are going to hear a lot about it, and it would be very informative and intriguing. So please stay around. Swamiji has also been a key member of Gurudev's conflict resolution team to Sri Lanka. So he's not just an observer about what happened in Sri Lanka. He was also very, very active there. Over his last 22 years, Swamiji has taught many different kind of people. He's taught lawmakers, he's taught heads of state, he's even tutored a national level cricket team of Sri Lanka. We'll hear about it shortly. And he's in fact coached hundreds and thousands of people to live a stress free and a happy life. And before Swamiji actually became Swami Virupaksha, he was born as Vidyut Udyavar, and he holds degree in business management as well as economics. And he's worked with top-notch international global companies like L'Oreal and O&M. So currently, Swamiji is based in Bangalore, and he teaches the advanced meditation program of Art of Living. So let's all of us put our hands together and welcome Swamiji with a huge round of applause. I'm sure it's silent because we are on mute, but we can always do that.
Thank you.
Swamiji, thank you for joining us. So
Thank you.
before we start this journey about the book, I received a lot of messages from people who want to know more about the book. But most importantly, we are very curious to know something about you. You used to work in the world of advertising, really colorful and chaotic world of advertising, and now you are in this beautiful, calm, spotless white world of spirituality. So, how did this journey begin? Can you please share a few words with us?
Yeah. Actually, I wouldn't like to compartmentalize saying world of advertising and world of spirituality.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you do not practice spirituality saying that, okay, from 6 in the morning to 8 in the morning, I'll do my sadhana, I'll be spiritual, or I'll do my meditation and satsang in the evening, 7 to 8 o'clock, and I will be spiritual only that time. Okay. So I don't see it as a world of compartments. No. Okay, it is the same body, the same mind, the same being that has been there hundreds of years ago and which still continues till today and will go into the future, isn't it? Huh?
It is.
So I see it as a continuing journey. Okay, so if you're asking me, have I left the world of advertising? In a way, no, because the moment you go into public, you're going on the road, you're on a flight or on a train, you do see ads.
Yeah.
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 So there used to be an old saying when I used to be in the advertising world that one never leaves advertising. Okay, so I would say the same about spirituality. One never leaves spirituality because everyone is born with a certain degree of spiritual values.
True.
Yeah, so I would say it is a continuing journey.
Swamiji, when you put it so wisely, I feel my question is being taken care of brilliantly. Thank you for that. Now, we all admire Swamiji. I mean, he has so many fans across this world. But, behind that sweet smile and that very calm and poised charisma of his lies a man whose book is currently raging as number one bestseller across many categories. Not just one, not just two, but four categories on Amazon. So that is brilliant. And being an author myself, I can tell you that this is no ordinary achievement. It's very, very difficult to get your book ranked as one, and Swamiji is ranking on four categories. So kudos to Swamiji for that. And now I'm going to talk about the book, Swamiji, with your permission.
Okay.
Swamiji, the book is titled as The Tiger's Paws, and it is subtitled as The Untold Story of Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar Ji's peace efforts in Sri Lanka. My very obvious question is, why is it called The Tiger's Paws?
Yeah. Uh, Actually, when we were working in Sri Lanka from 2003, 2004 onwards, there were several events and several moments that we were dealing with different parties to the conflict. Okay, so now who are the parties, the stakeholders to the conflict? We had the Sri Lankan government on one side, which was a Sinhalese Buddhist majority government, and we have the Tamil minorities who largely live in the north, the east, and the central part of Sri Lanka. So those living in the north and the east of Sri Lanka, the Sri Lankan Tamils, they were demanding a separate Tamil state called Tamil Elam. Okay, so because they had faced a lot of injustice for almost 40-50 years, for a very long period of time, in the field of education, in the field of jobs, in normal life there was quite a bit of injustice that they faced. And there was a point in time wherein the typical majority minority kind of a conflict started forming. Remember, there was a time in the 40s and the 50s where both the Sri Lankans, the Sinhalese Buddhists and the Tamils coexisted in a harmonious way. Yeah. So it was somewhere in the 50s, in the mid 50s, that it suddenly started coming up. There were unequal opportunities for the Tamils in every field, in the field of, in professions, in education, in several fields. So it was also a socio-economic problem.
Correct.
Yeah. So the ethnic tension started there in the mid 50s, and it snowballed into a war in 1982-83.
Okay.
So that is where the conflict started. And in 2004, Gurudev sent me to Sri Lanka when the tsunami happened there in December. And that was the time there was a ceasefire period in the 20-year-old war that time. And by about 2006 end, the fourth and final phase of the war started.
Okay.
Yeah. So here was a time where we were interacting with the LTT people who were known as the Liberation tigers of Tamil Elam and the Sri Lankan government. So we were engaging with them at different levels and at different points in time. And during those periods, right from 2004 till 2009, when the war ended, there were many moments when the tigers paused. Okay, so I would like you to discover uh, the real meaning of the tiger's pause, and I've brought that out in the book. So I would leave that for you to discover what the tiger's pause is.
Wonderful, Swamiji. And it's so nice to hear it from the horse's mouth, because we only have read about it in newspapers and we have seen it on television. We used to see the news, and we being from this part of the country, we really did not know the kind of pain and suffering that people out there were going through. And while I was reading the book, there were certain moments that my eyes were flooded with tears. Reading about the agony that people went through and Gurudev's efforts and you and Swamiji, and it was really, really, it was so touching that I decided that this book, we should do something collectively, that this book reaches out every corner of the world and people get to know the kind of work that Gurudev has been doing to bring about peace in such war-torn countries. Swamiji, can you also briefly describe the kind of work that Art of Living has been doing in this phase in Sri Lanka while you were there?
Yeah. So primarily our work was humanitarian aid, humanitarian assistance. That was the primary goal with which we went to Sri Lanka. And we did give a lot of materials like tents and food and drinking water. And that was one part of it. Okay. And the other part of it was our Art of Living programs. We gave the breath water sound program, which is also known as the Navchetna Shivir. Then we gave our Sudarshan Kriya breathing. So we had both the material aspect of it, like food, shelter, all those things, clothes, and as well as that which gave them mental peace, that which gave them solace, which is our yoga and the meditation. Now, both were important to the people of that country who were at war. Yeah. So primarily that was our main activity. And the other set of activity was engaging with people at different levels of society. Yeah. So we were talking to people who were opinion leaders in Sri Lankan society, influencers, and like I said, of course, various sections of the LTT, different political parties, and our engagement was very deep, prolonged, and it was quite an interesting aspect dealing with several personalities during this process. So primarily these three activities kept us busy, occupied, and I mean this was our duty and responsibility out there.
Wonderful. I mean, I've read the book and I've read about the conditions of the war refugees, and I really, really urge everyone who's logged in now that please get a copy of this book for yourself, because we really need to see the kind of work that Swamiji and Gurudev and a lot of our Art of Living volunteers could do to bring about comfort to the war refugees. Swamiji, would you like to throw some light on the condition of the war refugees when you met them?
Yeah. The war finished on May 2009, and uh, it was a very, what do you say, touching moment to see 3 lakh people in a refugee camp. And we went there to give them the Sudarshan Kriya, and it was very touching to see many people with just one leg. They had lost their leg in landmine blasts, and even while they were migrating from the war zone to the refugee camp that was controlled by the Sri Lankan government, many people lost their arms, their feet, and it was very touching. But one of the most important things I remember is that when I would teach them yoga, these people would sit in Vajrasan.
Oh, okay.
These people would sit in Vajrasan and they would do their pranayam. These people would do yogasanas to whatever extent they could. So I did give them a license saying that, okay, you do how much ever you can. But they would say, no, a teacher has come from India and we want to respect the knowledge, the wisdom, the techniques you are giving us. So it was very touching to see hundreds of people sitting in Vajrasan and doing the three-stage pranayam with just one leg. And it is not that we had any room or buildings to get people to do the programs. No, it was actually a forest area that was cleared by the Sri Lankan government. So it was all sand, it was all gravel. And they would bring a piece of cloth, they would stretch it out there, and they would sit there and they would do the breathing techniques, yoga, everything. So I found that the Tamils were extremely committed and strong. Yeah, their commitment was very strong, even in spite of the defeat that they went through in the war. They still had the zest for life to continue.
Swamiji, now that you describe the conditions, I'm literally getting goosebumps to you. I feel the pain that they must have gone through, and in spite of everything, they were so committed, and they valued this knowledge, which is really amazing. Because sometimes, Gurudev has given us this knowledge so easily, so freely, that in such certain moments we take it for granted. But now that you have said this, this is really an eye opener again for all of us here, to be regular with this seva sadhana and satsang that we have received from Gurudev. So thank you for sharing this. This is really a wonderful moment. Swamiji, I have read the book not once but practically more than once. So I found a lot of chapters very intriguing. In fact, the first time I read the book, it was practically unputdownable for me. I just could not stop reading. It was like at one go. There is one specific chapter that I want to talk to you about. It has a very interesting title. It says The Lime, the limbo, okay? The lime has a story. Swamiji, would you be kind enough to share more about it?
Yeah, this is one of my most mystical stories which I experienced in Sri Lanka. So there was a devotee of ours there in Colombo who kept telling me, Swamiji, you should come and meet this lady who's enlightened.
Okay.
So I would keep putting off saying, like, no, it's okay, doesn't matter. I mean, I'll meet her later, I'll meet her sometime. And at times I showed a lot of disinterest also because I said that, look, I'm busy with my classes, my traveling, and I used to keep postponing for whatever reason. One day, I said, okay, fine. Mrs. Fernando is asking me to come and meet this lady, and I went along with her. And people would call her Manio.
Okay.
Okay, so Manio is typically a term in Sinhalese which is used for elderly Buddhist devout women. So normally what happens? They take vows. They take vows to follow a certain a disciplined way of life. So they will be in family life, they will have grandchildren, children, all that, but still they would go through some vows and penance to kind of, as their sadhana, as their spiritual practice.
Correct.
So Mrs. Fernando took me to this house, and I went there quite reluctantly, actually. And uh, her daughter, brought her along, this lady, and Mrs. Fernando told me she's Manu. Now she was a little blind, so her daughter was holding her by the hand and leading her into a little room. So she could, like, see partially, kind of very beautiful old lady. She was about 70, must be 70, 72 must be, with lovely wrinkles and a beautiful sparkle on her face. And then I said, okay, I think there is something here for me to learn from. And then her daughter, Manio's daughter, called us and said, please come into the room. And when we went into the room, this lady started talking all kinds of words. Okay, it's called gibberish. Yeah, she just started saying whatever, and it was not Sinhalese. And I was wondering, what is she doing? And her daughter would interpret what her mother was saying. Okay, she would interpret the gibberish, those words. She would interpret for us. So Mrs. Fernando translated it for me in English, and then she told me, uh, what's he doing here? So she asked a few questions. What's he doing in Sri Lanka and all that? And then she asked for the lime. Now, this lime is what everyone who went to meet her had to take a lime and go. एक नींबू लेके जाना था मानियों को मिलने को. So she took the lime from me and she did, the drishti, what we call.
Nazar utarna.
Yeah. So she just circulated that thing, the lime around me 3 times, and then anti-clockwise she did that. And I, from the very beginning, never had belief in black magic or occult practices or any kind of such practices which did not mean, to my logical mind. It didn't make sense to my logical mind. So I was wondering.
Correct.
Yeah. So I was wondering, what am I doing here? So she took the lime after that and gave it to her husband. And her husband told me, come along. So he took me outside on the same floor, and there was a little idol over there. And in front of that idol, he cut that lime. वो नींबू को काटा. He cut that lime, and there was blood oozing from the lime. वो नींबू से खून निकला. And I was shocked. So I still couldn't believe, because I thought, is there some black magic they are doing? I really couldn't figure out. And the man looked at me and he said, come, let's go inside. So we went back to Manio, we went back to that lady, and she looked at the lime, okay, the 2 halves of the lime, and there was blood-like liquid over there, very thick red color blood-like liquid. And she told me, she looked at me and she said, there are people who are putting obstacles on your master's way. Said there are people who are putting obstacles, okay, on your master's path. Be careful. And then she also said, take care of yourself. And I was shocked. I was really shocked what she was saying. Yeah. But before she told me all this, she had told me, she said, your master is waiting for you in India. Go quickly to him. And in 2 weeks, it was going to be Navratri celebrations in the ashram. And I did not really plan to come to the ashram for the Navratri, because I had a lot of programs to handle in Colombo. And she told me, your master is waiting for you. You should quickly go. So when I heard all these things, I was wondering, who could be putting obstacles in the path of Gurudev? So he had just started the peace process to bring the LTT and the Sri Lankan government together and to bring peace in Sri Lanka. And I still kept wondering, who could it be? I started thinking about different people, and then finally I gave her some sweets which I was carrying, and a little bit of dakshina, a little bit of money as a token of gratitude. I just offered that to her and I left. And that evening I was to have tea and samosas with an official in the Indian embassy. So that was quite a good hint that I got over there. So you can read more in the book as to what happened after that.
Yes, I'm sure after listening to what Swamiji has just shared with us, all of us must be very, very eager to read more about the book. I just want to mention that recently the book was launched by Gurudev in Satsang, and it has received amazing reviews from not just India, but across the world. And I would like to read one review about the book. It is from somebody we all know. We've all known her for a very, very long time. In fact, she is an idol for most of us. It's Dr. Kiran Bedi. I'll quote her. Great leaders put grit, determination, and duty first before personal comfort. Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar risked his life putting everything at stake, even though he was made to walk through dangerous landmine-studded paths to save the future of thousands of people in war-torn Sri Lanka. This is a measure of a true peacemaker. The tiger's paws reflects the essence of Gurudev, making the book unputdownable. Dr. Kiran Bedi, 24th Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry and IPS retired. Swamiji, so in this particular review, Dr. Kiran Bedi mentions about the landmine. Can you also share that story briefly with us?
Yeah, this was the time when Gurudev was going to meet the chief of the LTT, Prabhakaran, and this arrangement had happened with the approval of the LTT. This meeting happened with the approval of the Sri Lankan government, the LTT, and these were the main parties to the conflict. So their approval was there, and the Sri Lankan president offered a helicopter for Gurudev to travel to that place to meet Prabhakaran. So the capital of their territory, the LTT was holding territory in the north and a few parts of eastern Sri Lanka. So Gurudev, Swami Sadyojata ji, Harish, and another devotee, they went by the helicopter. I stayed back in Colombo, which is the capital of Sri Lanka. I stayed back there, and I was to handle all the developments on the Sri Lankan government side. So this was September 21st, and Gurudev set out to go and meet the LTT chief, Prabhakaran. And he was dropped off, the entire delegation was dropped off at a point called the No Man's Land. So there is a strip of land called No Man's Land, which is on one side is Sri Lankan government territory, and after you cross the no man's land is the LTT territory. Now this no man's land is really a no man's land, and it's a very, I would say, dangerous path it was, because anything that happened on that piece of land was neither the responsibility of the LTT or the Sri Lankan government. And it was manned by the United Nations. It was manned by the Sri Lanka Monitoring Mission, which had the Norwegians and many others in that peacekeeping mission. Okay, so Gurudev was dropped off by the Sri Lankan military at the entrance of the no man's land. Yeah, so he was made to walk on the no man's land and go to the other side. And just then there was a UN official over there, the cabin. So he told Gurudev that just yesterday a cow had died because of a landmine blast.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so he told them that the landmines have been planted in many places, and he said new soldiers are being recruited by the LTT. And it was that point was a quite difficult point in the starting of the war, towards the start of the fourth and final phase of the war between the LTT and the Sri Lankan government. Because what had happened was, in August of 2006, the Sri Lankan government had bombed an orphanage in the LTT region. Yeah, they had bombed because they had information that actually that orphanage known as a Senjole orphanage was actually a training ground for child soldiers in the LTT. So they went and they bombed that particular building, and about 64 children died in that in August of 2006. So by the time September 2006, when Gurudev went there, by the time the tension was at its peak between the Sri Lankan government and the LTT, so maybe anticipating, the war having to start soon, they may have planted landmines, new landmines over there. And yes, it is very unfortunate that they made Gurudev walk on that path which had landmines strewn all over. So it was very unfortunate that this happened. And then they crossed that path. It was about 700 meters that they crossed, and they reached the LTT side. And in fact, they made him wait for almost 1 hour on on the Sri Lankan side of the no man's land. And I'll tell you, it was a big, big risk that Gurudev took in crossing that path.
Yeah.
But his intention, his willingness and the determination to walk that path for the sake of the thousands of Sri Lankans, both Tamils and Sinhalese, was, I'll tell you, a big effort and a big achievement. It is not easy to do that. If you and I were to be told to walk on a path where there could be landmines, I'll tell you, you would just turn back and run away, isn't it? But Gurudev went ahead and walked that path on that hot, sunny afternoon of September. So this for me is one event that I will cherish, where Gurudev really, really uh, broke every barrier, I would say, in trying to save the soul of a beautiful nation called Sri Lanka.
Wow, Swamiji, just, I mean, while you were saying it, the whole incident was playing out in front of my eyes. And I actually could feel the tension on both the sides. And like you mentioned, that no man's island is literally no man's island. And if anything happens there, nobody is going to take the responsibility. And in spite of knowing about this and the landmines, the danger, and just that the cow was blown away the earlier day, Gurudev actually walked that dangerous path to establish peace on both sides. I mean, really, he's the master who will walk to any end to make us all happy. I mean, this is really, really a moment to cherish. And I can only wonder about it. So thank you, Swamiji. That was an amazing share. Swamiji, like I mentioned in my introduction about you earlier, I said that you have taught hundreds and thousands of people from all walks of life, be it war refugees, the lawmakers, the celebrities, and so many people. And you have also, guided the national cricket team of Sri Lanka in one of our Art of Living programs. Can you describe your experience? Because I'm sure there are many cricket lovers here.
Yeah, it was March 2009 when the Sri Lankan cricket team was attacked in Lahore
Okay.
and in Pakistan. And we immediately got in touch with the president and of Sri Lanka, and he was very happy to facilitate and see that we give trauma relief to the entire Sri Lankan cricket team. And me and Swami Sadyojata ji, both of us, we were in India that time. And we had come to the South Block in New Delhi to meet the Foreign Secretary, Mr. Narayanan, that time, to brief him on all the work that we had done in Sri Lanka. And it was at that time that this incident had happened with the Sri Lankan cricket team. And I went ahead to Colombo. I immediately flew from Delhi to Colombo. And I met up with the director of sports medicine. There was Dr. Geetanjana Mendes. He's no longer there. And very fine man. And he was very well known as a physiotherapist for all the sports persons. Even a lot of famous cricketers in India loved and respected the late Dr. Geetanjana Mendes. And he was the one who helped facilitate this program. So I went and met him first, and he said, yes, please do give this program. And everything was finalized. And the moment of truth had arrived, the day when we had to actually meet the Sri Lankan cricket team. And I remember going to that building opposite the Sri Lankan Cricket Board office, where the sports medicine office is located. They have a little auditorium there, and we were to start at about 9:30, and I was there by about 9:15, and sharp at 9:25, the lift opened and Sangakkara walked out, and I was seeing him for the very first time. And he walked in, and I introduced myself, and he said, I'm Sangha, and he said, I'm looking forward to your program. So just me and Sangakkara were there in a little room, which is opposite the auditorium. And let me tell you, my first meeting with Sangakkara was amazing. He was so cool, so easygoing, and he had a beautiful elegance and dignity about him. There was not an iota of the feeling that he was one of the top cricketers at that point in time, a wonderful cricketer, and really cool. He was a cool cucumber. Huh? And then I asked him, I said, how can I address you? So he said, you can call me Sangha. Okay. And then he said, I'm waiting for our boys to come. So he just looked out of the window. So this was on the fourth floor of that building. And there were all the other cricketers who were still crossing the road. So he looked down and he said, look, they're just coming. Let's wait for them. And I asked him, I said, how come in Sri Lanka people don't mob them? The cricketers. So he said, no, it happens only in India. So he said, whenever I go to India, he said, when I go out shopping or whatever, he said, people just mob me. And I also narrated a story to him of how I was mobbed in Sri Lanka when I first reached there. I don't want, no, don't reveal that incident.
May I get your permission?
Sorry?
May I reveal why
No,
the
no, no.
Okay.
No. People should read this story in the book. It's a real funny story. I don't want to let out the surprise of the story. Huh?
Yeah,
So
very
my
interesting. Yeah.
my interaction with Sangakkara was really beautiful, and I'll tell you, uh, he's a sportsman that one can look up to. Amazing balance he had. And mind you, just 2 weeks earlier they had gone through a traumatic phase of having been attacked on a bus in Lahore, Pakistan, by the terrorists. So in spite of all that, here was Sangakkara smiling and chirpy and cheerful, and he was looking forward to learning our breathing techniques. There was great anticipation and expectation which he had. And then as we were talking, the other cricketers came, and it was about 9:35, kind of. And he told them in Sinhalese, so I could understand Sinhalese. And he told them, hey boys, we need to be on time. And I said, hey, Sangha is a perfect gentleman. He told his teammates, hey, we need to be on time. He said, look, the teachers have come from India to teach us this technique. It's for our own good. It's for us to relax more. It's for us to strengthen ourselves. And I really found a really gem of a gentleman in Sangakkara. Then we had the program, we took the course, and it was a lovely experience, a really beautiful experience. Huh? You must read this chapter in the book. Huh? I've given all the details. I've not shared everything right now. So I would like you to read every line and discover what happened when we were teaching the Sri Lankan cricket team.
Yeah, it is really very interesting. In fact, not just one chapter. Like I mentioned earlier, the book is like something you will go through a lot of moments. There will be moments of happiness, there will be moments of tear, there will be moments of gratitude. And I seriously hope and pray that this book is made into a movie soon, because I mean, it's like a pot boiler. It has everything, and it has really happened amongst us. And if we can get to see it, it would be an amazing experience. Swamiji, continuing with my questions. Swamiji, any particular memory or your favorite incident while you were in Sri Lanka? You've almost spent a decade there, and I'm sure the country is really beautiful in many other ways as well. So, can you talk about it?
Yeah, there was there were many incidents where, come to my mind, where I had to face a lot of trials and tribulations. We had to face success and failures,
Okay.
and we had to face conspiracies from different parties, and several things that Gurudev and we all faced while we were in Sri Lanka. One particular incident that I would like to share is, there was a volunteer called Deepa who had organized a course for the LTT people. Yeah, so there's a small group of the Tamil Tigers, as they were called. She had organized a course, and Swami Sadyojata ji had taken the course for them, and he had to leave for India. So he finished the course, and he told me, he said, you take their follow-up sessions week after week. So one day, I was invited to I could call it a hideout, okay, in a place called Point Pedro, which is at the tip of the northern northeast tip of Sri Lanka, which is, it's just about 35 kilometers from India, from Tamil Nadu, from Rameshwaram. So I went there, and I gave them a follow up of yoga and meditation, and they offered to drop me back in an auto rickshaw. So they said, we will arrange an auto rickshaw. There it's called the tuk tuk.
Yeah.
The auto rickshaw is known as the tuk tuk in Sri Lanka. So they organized a tuk tuk for me, and then I didn't know what tuk tuk will happen later. So I sat on the tuk tuk, and as I was going to Jaffna town, so the distance between Jaffna town and Point Pedro, it would take about 40 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour sometimes. Yeah, the roads weren't that good. So suddenly the lights went off. Completely, the lights went off while I was on the tuk tuk, and uh, I asked this auto boy. I said, what happened? So he said, normally they switch off the lights when an army convoy is going. When the Sri Lankan military convoy is going, they switch off all the lights so that people don't know what is happening. Yeah. And then in a few minutes, suddenly the tuk-tuk went duck, 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 duck. And I realized that we were going over many speed breakers. There were many speed breakers. And then I said, normally these speed breakers come outside an army camp. Yeah, it's very typical in most of the countries. There'll be many speed breakers just outside the entrance of an army camp. So I wondered, why is this boy taking me to an army camp when he is supposed to be on the LTT side? So I thought, are they playing, games with me? And immediately there were boots, the sound of boots and torchlights, 6 torchlights being flashed on us. And on either side of the tuk-tuk, we had 3 soldiers, and they flashed the torch on my face, and they looked at me and they said, Indian? I said, yes. So then they said, show me your passport. So I showed them the passport. Then they asked me, what are you doing here? So I said, bhavana. Now, bhavana in a Sinhalese means meditation. So that was my one word, my password to go through any security checkpoint in Sri Lanka. So if I would say bhavana, they would say bomustuti, they would say ayubovan, and they would let me pass. So then they caught hold of this boy's shirt, the driver's shirt, because he was Tamil, and these were Sri Lankan military, and we were entering a camp. Now, any country you try entering a military camp, they are going to hold your shirt, isn't it? And I do not know what happened to me. I just looked at the soldier and I said, leave him, don't hold him. I do not know where that guts came from. I was a foreigner there in that country, okay, and I'm telling a Sri Lankan military personnel saying, don't hold his collar, leave him now. And the soldier just looked at me like that, and he just took off his hand from from that boy's collar. And then they told him, please step out of the tuk-tuk. So then the boy stepped out, and then they asked him for his license. And they very politely told him, they said, come tomorrow to the army office in the town, in Jaffna town, and collect it from there. So then we sat on the auto, and then we went back he took me back to Jaffna town. And I asked this boy, I said, why did you have to take me to an army camp? Why did you do that? So he said, no, sir, this is my uncle's auto. So I came from Trincomalee. Trincomalee is on the eastern part of Sri Lanka. He said, I came to stay in my uncle's house. I thought I'll drive the tuk-tuk for some time. And I missed the path in the darkness, and I went into this place. I didn't know there was an army camp over there in the darkness. Okay. So then finally he dropped me that the place I was staying, and I entered the house, and my phone rings. And my phone rings, and it says unknown number. So I thought, is it a number from the Sri Lankan government or someone in the Sri Lankan military? I thought I thought maybe the army had sent a message saying that, we had this Indian who was trying to enter the military camp. Yeah, possibility. So then I picked up the call, and then it was Gurudev on the other side. And Gurudev asks me, where are you now? So I said, Gurudev, I'm in Jaffna. And he says, is everything okay? I said, Gurudev, everything is fine. Then he said, okay, Jai Gurudev. And then he switched off the phone. Yeah. So this is one experience I will really cherish, because I feel that when Gurudev sends you on any assignment, wherever he sends you, or for that matter, you may have had these experiences when you had difficulty, you either thought about Gurudev, or, you just said a little prayer or whatever, and you got help. It could also be your experience, isn't it?
True.
Yeah. So this particular experience is something which I will never forget. So it was so amazing. The master, the guru, protects you. Yeah, when you're doing his work, the grace of the master is always there. Yeah. So you just need to be fearless, go and do his work.
Wow, Swami.
Do seva.
Amazing.
Do service.
Right. This is really inspiring for all of us who are here. And yeah, I completely agree with you. Master is an armor, and we feel his protection all the time. I mean, you feel a sense of protection. There is some energy that is taking care of you while you're doing his work. So, but just on a lighter note, you said that Bhavna was your password to enter every forbidden place. I wish we had, if you could share with us the one to enter Ganga Kuti. We would all love that. Yeah.
Yeah, the password is do seva, do service, take up a project, do your sadhana.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the beautiful password that we all have. Which sees us through this life, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But Swamiji, I would still like to have a separate password. Okay, Swamiji, thank you for that. I just enjoy some lighter moments with you, because most of us, who have not been with in Art of Living, they think that Swamiji is somebody who is supposed to be a very serious person, and they barely smile and stuff like that. But if you get to know Swamiji's and Swaminis from our Art of Living family, each one is an absolute gem. And most of us have had this wonderful opportunity to be with Swamiji, and he has some great sense of humor. And you'll really enjoy his company. So whenever you're in ashram next, please seek his presence. You'll really enjoy it. Take my word for that. Okay, Swamiji, all of us have a relationship with Gurudev, and we try to understand Gurudev in our own limited ways. Of course, Gurudev is a presence, and to capture him in few words is practically impossible. I, being a writer, can say that is impossible. Gurudev is just beyond us. We can't really predict him. But I want to ask you this, that you have worked with Gurudev in very close quarters. You have been a key member on this particular conflict resolution team. You have also headed certain special projects. You're also heading the admin for our ashram. So, Swamiji, how is it to work with Gurudev? Can you describe Gurudev as a boss? I mean, it would be lovely for us to know that. I can
Yeah,
see people getting very close to the screen now. Yeah.
uh, in so many years that I've seen him, I'm seeing him, is, I tell you, he's just an enigma. He's a mystery. He's a complete mystery. It is so difficult to describe Gurudev. So my favorite description is he's a relaxed enigma for me.
Wow.
Yeah. He's a relaxed mystery. Now, typically, what is an enigma? An enigma is something that can scare you. An enigma is something that can, make you curious. An enigma is something that sometimes can make you worried also, isn't it? Yeah. So enigma has different flavors. But here for me, Gurudev is a relaxed enigma. These are the two words, the closest words that I can use to describe Gurudev, because as an enigma, the challenges he throws to you, the mystical parts that he reveals to you, and the puzzles that he throws at you every now and then in your day-to-day life is the enigma part of it, but it happens in a very relaxed way. So for me, he's a beautiful, relaxed enigma.
Beautifully put, Swamiji. And yes, we've also experienced that side of Gurudev, that in most stressful situations, when there are thousands and lakhs of people trying to meet him, and they're falling around and everything, but I see Gurudev always so poised, and just his presence makes everybody feel so calm and wonderful. Swamiji, thank you for sharing that part. Swamiji, while writing the book, can you share some behind the scene moments that you had with Gurudev?
Yeah, there were many moments that I experienced, which were, I would say, thrilling, which was again enigmatic, which was mystical, and which was indescribable. So one of the moments I remember, one day he asked me, what are you writing? Kya likh rahe ho? Okay. So I would just look at him and I would go blank. And then again, another day he asked me, what have you written? Tumne kya likha hai? What are you writing? And again, I just go blank in front of him. And one particular day, I got back to my room and I wrote this particular title came to my mind. Okay. It's a title in one of the chapters of my book. Okay. And the title happened, and then I said, okay, let me sit and write. I sat down and I wrote that particular chapter. And the next day, he again asked me, he looked at me and he said, what are you writing? Tum kya likh rahe ho? So I said, Gurudev, can I bring it? So he said, okay. He said, bring it. And I went there and I sat and I was scrolling on my phone. In fact, the entire book, I wrote it on my phone. I didn't use a laptop nor a tablet. So you can write a book on a phone also. So uh, I sat there, and just then Gurudev took a big dabba. He took a big dabba and he took out a chakli. You know, in Maharashtra, I think North India also, I think you call it chakli, chakli, you know.
Correct.
In Tamil Nadu, we call it murku.
Correct.
We call it murku in Tamil Nadu, the chakli. So he just took that and he was eating that, and he told me, he said, "Oh, read." So I told him, "The murku of things." And he looked at me like that and he said, "What?" So I thought that, I'm taking too much of creative license. And I had already written that title a day earlier. I had already written that title and that chapter a day earlier, The Murku of Things. And here was Murku in Gurudev's mouth already. Huh? And then he asked, "What?" So I repeated again. I said, "Gurudev, the Murku of things." So then he just looked up like that and he looked at me down and he said, "Read it now."
Wow.
So uh, and I started reading that chapter. So my experience from this was really, really, I would say, I mean, it's indescribable. I really cannot put words to it. So what I already had there, which I had typed in that chapter, uh, he already knew that from the title itself, from the very title, he just knew that. So there were many, many other experiences. I will share it someday. But this one experience for now you can cherish and read the book. I invite all of you to order your book on Art of Living store or on Amazon and read the book. And the feedback that I've been receiving is, I'll tell you, really amazing. I'm really touched by the feedback that I'm receiving on the book. I'm
Yes,
very touched.
Swamiji, I was about to ask you that I have read the book and I liked it so much that I have, gifted it to a lot of my network. I gifted it to my family, my friends, and even people I meet, because I feel the gift of knowledge is the best gift possible. And in the book itself, there are so many things, that people need to learn about and really implement in their life. From my side, like you said, I have done my thing, and I'm going to continue gifting this to people. And for all of you viewers here, you can get this book on Amazon. You can get it in our Art of Living store. You can also go to ashram and pick your copy. And if you're lucky enough like me, then probably you'll get a author signed copy, the way I have from Swamiji. Okay, you can definitely try that. But Swamiji, if I know the reasons why I love the book, but if you as an author had to share with our viewers here why they need to buy this book, top three reasons, what would you say?
Yeah. One of the reasons I would tell you need to read the book is you will get to know what all Gurudev had to go through
Right.
in trying to bring peace in a nation. Now, we all know that he has brought peace, he has brought personal development in people's lives at an individual level. We know what he has done with different projects, brought transformation in the life of a society. But if you are to look at the peace effort at the level of a nation, so this is one dimension everyone needs to know, what Gurudev went through in trying to bring about peace at the level of a nation at a larger level. Number one. Number two is, I have written a lot about uh, how to handle conflict. Gurudev's wisdom on how to handle conflict. Now, here again, there's a lot of interesting, insightful, deep wisdom from Gurudev on how to handle conflict, whether at the level of a family or maybe conflict that you may be facing in your individual lives on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. So there's a lot of beautiful knowledge on conflict, number two. And number three is that people today are feeling, hey, there is the sense of war. There's a fear of war that is looming large in the environment. And I would tell you, this book is one that will untangle your worries of war also. It'll untangle the worries of war if you're carrying it with it, whether it's from the economical point of view or whether it's from the psychological point of view. I will tell you, if you read our stories, all our what our volunteers went through, what Swami Sadyojata and me went through, what all our Art of Living teachers and volunteers went through, I'll tell you, you will realize that the life that we have now in India or in any other country is far better than what it was in a war-torn country.
True.
Yeah. So I would like you to invite you to appreciate these different dimensions, And I must mention here the contribution of many Art of Living volunteers and teachers and devotees. Many, I'll tell you, tremendous contribution they made to the situation in Sri Lanka.
Really, really proud to be an AOLite, Swamiji. When you put it like that, it feels so amazing to be part of this one world family in every sense of the word. You never feel that you are alone. You know, our password is Jai Gurudev, and you are welcomed everywhere and you welcome everyone. It's really a beautiful life to have a living master. And thank you for sharing that, Swamiji. Swamiji, I am sure, just like me, there are many readers of the book who have experienced some amazing things after reading your book. Would you want to share? I think you mentioned about the security guard today, and there are people from across the world who feel so connected to Gurudev's words. So can you briefly describe that?
Yeah, just yesterday afternoon, I was walking into my building with a few copies of the books which I had to give to someone. So the security guard outside my building, he looked at me and he said, Swamiji, मुझे आपका book चाहिए. He said, I want your book. So I told him, yeah, these copies are for someone else, so I can get you a copy. So then he told me, I can read English. Okay. I'll tell you, I was so touched. I was so touched by his response. And he's a new security guard, very new security guard. And he's from a village in Jharkhand or Chhattisgarh. Very beautiful soul. And I asked him, where did you see this? Aapne kahan dekha? He said, no, I saw your picture near the Ashram Divine Shop with this book. So I'm interested in reading this. I can tell you, let me tell you, if a beautiful, lovely security guard from a village, okay, wants to read an English book, okay, I'll tell you, all of you must pick it up. You know why he would have asked that book from one dimension? Do you know क्यों उसने book पूछा मेरे से? Because he wanted blessings from reading the story, from reading the book.
Wow.
See, this is the beauty of a lovely, innocent people from the village. Isn't it? It's so beautiful. They can identify that there is blessing even in a book. That was my learning yesterday. How this boy identified that there is blessing. के इस ये किताब नहीं है, ये आशीर्वाद है ये book. This book is a blessing. It is not just a book. I was very touched by this incident yesterday, and I have been receiving many messages and calls from people saying, Swamiji, this book is kind of bringing about a transformation in my life at different levels. I'm getting, for the last 15-20 days, I've been getting varying feedback. I've been getting various criticism also. I've been getting various suggestions also, and I'm totally open. So feel free, go ahead, read the book, and do put a comment on Amazon. Do put a comment on Amazon also. on Auto Living Store also. Just put your feedback, enjoy the book.
Yeah, beautifully said, Swamiji. And while I asked you the top three reasons for buying the book, I think the blessing one is going to be indisputable, because while reading the book, you feel such a connect with the master. And Swamiji, I cannot undermine your role in it, because you have written the book so eloquently, so profoundly, without any judgments and biases, that it just connects directly to the heart and the head. It's really beautiful, and everybody should pick a copy for themselves and gift it to others. Now that we are coming towards the end of our session, Swamiji, I'm going to have a few rapid fire questions for you. Can I shoot it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. No mercy. Okay. No mercy. Even if you are wearing the whites. Okay. Okay. Swamiji, top 5 words to describe Gurudev.
Top 5 words.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you're repeating me. That's no longer
Beauty.
rapid. Okay.
I couldn't hear you.
Okay.
Beauty, enigma, amazing, thrilling, mystical.
Wonderful. 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 Swamiji, 5 words to describe you.
Unpredictable,
Loved it.
creative, simple,
True.
not old,
Young. Evergreen. Right.
and a tiger.
Oh wow. Amazing. 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 This is lovely. Your favorite food or beverage?
Sorry, what was the favorite?
Your favorite food or beverage?
Or beverage?
Yeah.
Okay. My favorite food is, I love roti sabzi.
Okay.
Simple, good, yeah, nice roti sabzi. Curd rice for sure.
That
Because
goes without saying.
I need to sleep well on a Sunday afternoon. So Sunday afternoon is curd rice. Yeah. And beverage is, I would say, lassi actually. Lassi is a good beverage for me.
Wow. Your favorite travel destination?
Sri Lanka.
Oh,
Sri Lanka is number 1 and number 2 is France.
amazing. So we can join Swamiji on his next trip to Sri Lanka and France, because Swamiji speaks wonderful French. In fact, he's coached many people in French, so we can learn that from him. Right, Swamiji? I mean, I just know this bit of information about you. Okay,
Yeah.
my last question. The title of your next bestseller?
Ayo, why are you asking? Is that hint enough? Ayo, why are you asking?
Swamiji, it is a hint, it's a prayer that you, after this book is so amazing, and we as readers would love to read more about your
Yeah, so you can say, so if it's your prayer, you can say Jai Shri Ram.
Ah, okay. Okay, the hint is well received by all.
I'll say Ayo, you can say Jai Shri Ram.
Okay, you say Ayo, I say Dhya. Wonderful, wonderful, Swamiji. This was amazing, amazing. Okay, and since we are joined by a lot of Art of Living teachers, and we have Apex of Maharashtra Pranav Joshi ji with us, I am now going to open up this session. Pushpak ji, if you are around, can you just... Okay, Pranav ji is already unmuted. Pranav ji, would you like to share a few words about today's session?
Jai Gurudev Swamiji.
Jai Gurudev.
Yeah, so thank you, Shilpa. As the message said, the discussions were very informative, very engaging, and very insightful. Swamiji, you are just amazing. And perfectly you described yourself in 5 words. I completely agree to that. And this entire conversation, I am on the second chapter of the book. I've just started reading the book. It again and again restates that Guruji is the ultimate peacemaker, and actually the true meaning when he says love moves the world, and what exactly does he mean when he says love moves the world? So love is something which he actually walks the talks, whatever he says, and that is how he is getting peace in not only in the countries but also in our mind. So this has been a really amazing and insightful discussions, and I would love everybody on the group to buy this book as soon as possible. And already me and Shilpa have started gifting a lot of people this book, because it speaks volume. It speaks volume. It is all about truth, which today, even I used to feel that we had heard about all these things in the past, but I'm really feeling nice that today Sri Lanka is one of the finest tourist destination, and I look forward to visit Sri Lanka along with you.
Wow.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you, Pranavji. Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Shilpa, for having such amazing interview with Swamiji. Thank you.
Actually, I should be thanking Swamiji for giving me this opportunity. I look at it as an opportunity to serve, because I have received this book and I really found it like a blessing. It was kind of an enlightening experience to know how deeply Gurudev works for conflict resolution to bring together communities, and that is why I personally feel that I should take this book everywhere and stop people on the way and say, "Have you read this book?" I mean, it's made that kind of an impact on me. If anybody else would also want to share, please go ahead and unmute yourself. We have a minute left. So I open up the session. So whoever wants to share or talk to Swamiji, please go ahead.
Any questions from the group?
Can I, Shilpa ji?
Yes, please go ahead, Praveenji.
I am at Gujarat Ashram now, and it was an amazing interview. I have not read the book, but so much of the curiosity is there now that immediately I am going to get that book. And that's why I will not make any comment on book. But again, meeting Swamiji's every time and the Guru stories, endless Guru stories. After a long time, I got this opportunity again. And being there at Gujarat Ashram, it was more enjoying.
Wow.
I will share link of this book certainly to others, and immediately I am going to read. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Shilpa ji, for inviting me.
Yeah, please. It's a pleasure. Rasika ji, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
One more thing I would like.
Yes.
Yeah. Jai Gurudev Swamiji. Your book itself is a blessing. That's how I came to know. But while listening to you and joining this session, feel totally blessed. So thank you very much inviting me for this very nice inauguration of book. So thank you very much, everyone.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. I remember what Gurudev says, that, we are on the spiritual path. We are in fact very lucky, but some of us, feel a little hesitant because we don't know how spirituality, how we'll talk about it, whether our peers would respect us for that. And we have certain biases ourselves. But I tell you, if we are human beings on a spiritual journey, and we shouldn't feel ashamed. There are people who do all sorts of wrong things without any shame or without any biases, without any judgments, because they believe in it. And we believe in spirituality, we believe in our master. We should have the conviction to go out and talk about this book to everyone. I mean, it's wonderful being here with all of you. I can see Meenakshi ji has raised her hand. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Jai Gurudev Swamiji. And I loved the title of the book. Okay, I happened to see it. I've read it 3/4. And in fact, I was reading it at my workplace. And this time I forgot to get it back home. So on Saturday, when I'm in my car, I'm like, oh, I didn't read the book. I will not be able to complete it. I should buy another copy so that, so it is that wonderful. The title, the tiger's paws, and especially the time when you're teaching, those some incidences you have stomach in your, in your mouth, that there is, when you're teaching and there's bombing going out, that time, and then they continue. They say, okay, we are used to this. So, looking at the life they actually lead, it was like an everyday phenomenon for them. So it is so heartening, and especially nowadays we are seeing something like that going on in Ukraine. So the book, I just happened to pick it up. That time I didn't know. I saw it on Amazon. I picked it up, loved the book, and I'm going to gift it. And I think so. It's very good to give people who are not knowing the art of living work, especially, how peace. I feel everyone should go and just gift it in this world. So thank you so much for writing, Swamiji. Jai Gurudev.
Thank you, Meenakshi. That was awesome. So, with Swamiji's permission and blessings, if Swamiji, would you like to share something at the end? We'll be closing.
Enjoy the book.
Okay.
Enjoy the book. Lots of lessons to learn from that book. Many lessons. Even while I was writing, I learned many lessons while writing that book and recollecting the incidents, the events. A lot of learning for me also. So enjoy it. And what we enjoy, we share also, isn't it? So
yeah, that kind of sums up this session for tonight. That we have all enjoyed this session. We should go ahead and share this with others. This session is going to be available. It's in fact being watched live on YouTube. The Art of Playing Maharashtra page. It has more than 12,000 subscribers. So tonight our humble attempt has reached thousands of people, and it will reach many more. Please go there and comment there as well. While you read the book, please leave a comment on Amazon also. And feel very proud and blessed that we are in Swamiji's presence tonight, and we have a loving and living master with us. And I think that's the most beautiful blessing that we can ever receive as humans.